Alright, here we go. We're gonna do the tail disassembly here. Now this is a Trex 600. It should be the same as a Trex 500 and all that. All the Trexes are pretty much have the same design these days. So between all the different sizes, we have the manual up on the computer. Now the difference between this thing is set up a little different currently because it's set up for an older airframe, which has a shorter push rod for the tail. So my servo's still out here on the boom. It actually goes inside the frame right here, but I haven't got the push rod yet. So that's the only thing that's going to be really different. But what I do whenever I get ready to, if I crash or whatever and I need to replace torque tube in the boom, I usually just I'll remove the boom supports first, and then we'll remove the 4 screws here, and then in my case I've got to remove the servo as well. Take ball link pliers. There, pop that off, and then I'm gonna take a screwdriver. And this also adds an extra step for me because I got to recenter the servo and its positioning, because those will slide around. Let's see here. We need to pull our boom supports off. So it's a metric Allen wrench. And I've got a aluminum belly pan in this one, so when you go back with it, you definitely want to Loctite it. All right, those are free. All right, now we want to remove those 4 deals right here. You ain't got to remove them. All you got to do is back them off. This is actually what holds the boom inside the, I guess, transmission. I'm not real sure what they call it, but then you can kind of, there's a pin in there that holds that boom in line, and it's not giving it up just yet. So it's very possible the screws are holding the plastic together, not letting it open up like it oughta. And if it still don't, we'll loosen the other ones up. It don't want to give it up. And And on these you can loosen either side, it don't matter. There it goes. Just being this one's in good shape, you just be gentle with it when removing it. Knocked all my thread locks off and stuff. Alright, now we got our tail boom. We can set the airframe to the side. Oh no! Trying to knock everything out of the way. Now, if your boom is damaged, you go through and you just remove these. Remove your tail fin, and that unlocks that. This little piece right here, right underneath your fin here, it's got a pin that goes through the boom, and it locks this from twisting whenever you're assembling. Let's see if I can get the torque tube out without popping the bearing out of the rubber. Yeah, and the torque tube's stuck. But no big deal. And really, if it was a belted model, the disassembly would be the same, other than where the transmission's bolted in, you'd pull the screws out on either side of the frame, and you'd have to remove the transmission with it. And there's that little pin I was telling you about that goes through the boom. Let's see, there's the hole. Alright. There's the other end of our torque tube. Let's see if I can. There we go. Ah, alright, did exactly what I did not want to do. Let's see if I can get that rubber to come out of there. Nope. Oh, there it is. Okay, this right here is what was inside the torque tube. It's just a rubber bushing that goes around your bearing right here. when you have a brand new torque tube, this bearing will slide up and down the torque tube. Alright, we'll go to our manual right here. Alright, and on one of the pages around the tail, you got right here, and it gives you the measurements of where to glue that bearing. And it right here they're showing you the this would be the middle of your torque tube, and you want it approximately 1.5 centimeters towards the front of the helicopter, away from the center line. So whatever 1.5 centimeters translates to in inches or whatever, or however you measure them, that's where you need to do it. And you just put a little drop of CA, and then I just slide it over where it's going to be. So, and as you can tell by the center of the torque tube would be somewhere right in here, and my bearing's way off over here. So I'm probably not even in the right spot with my bearing, but it does fine. And then your little rubber damper fits over the bearing just like that. And whenever you CA that bearing, you want just a very tiny bit. I mean, you want to clean the torque tube real good, and you just want a very little bit and just slide it on there. If you put a drop in there and that drop of CA gets inside that bearing and locks that bearing up, I don't know if there's a way to get that bearing off without tearing up the torque tube or not. I've honestly never done it, so I don't know what would be involved with that. It's just whatever you do, you don't want to bend the torque tube. And when it comes out of the package, you want to spin it across. If you got a flat surface large enough you can spin it across, you want to make sure that thing comes in straight. Because I bought 2 of them for my 700 that just arrived bent. And the dealer was gracious enough to return them, and their vendor or supplier was replacing them. So anyway, that being said, I don't know where my, anyway, you're supposed to put a light coating of lubricant on the on this rubber, and then inside the boom here. And what I usually do is I just spray some WD-40 down in there. I kind of wet the rubber down with the WD-40, and then I slide it in. And but that right there is pretty much the disassembly. I mean, minus, you know, pulling all those pieces off, but that's pretty well self-explanatory. And when you pull your horizontal stabilizer off right here, when you put it back on the new boom, don't tighten it down yet. Just leave it loose. That way, whenever you slide it on, you can go ahead and hook up your boom supports, and it puts it in a position where it needs to be. And then once you get done, you'll just make sure it's level with the back of your airframe there, and then you can tighten it down. Which we'll go through that in the assembly video. That is all for now. Have a good one.